Thank you for joining us today. Our very special guest, Frightmare. Thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. How about you guys?
We're good, man. We're good. Very difficult times at the moment, but we're all doing our best. It's good to have some positivity and chat some wrestling.
It's so insane right now, man.
It's surreal, isn't it? I mean, worldwide, it's surreal. It's surreal to be a wrestling fan right now. I don't know about you, but I've kind of grown used to how wrestling is at the moment. I think it's going to be so strange when things are back to normal.
You get like a full crowd going, and everyone's not wearing a mask. I'm used to wearing a mask for the past 12 years, so.
Yeah, you're used to it. Yeah, you've been ahead of the curve the whole time.
Yeah, that's it, man. I'm used to it. Those masks aren't it.
It's so bizarre as well because I had to go to bank the other day to put some money in, and it's so bizarre walking into a bank with a mask on.
We were saying the other day, wasn't we? It's like you're about to do a heist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, every time I have to go to the bank, man, I'm rocking this, and every time they gotta stop me, man. Like, what the hell is this guy doing over here? He has a bank account? What the fuck is this? You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's blown my mind already. Frightmare has a bank account. That's crazy.
Times are tough, you know. You gotta have something, man.
I guess the booking money has to go somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we talk about obviously your journey, and I know Cam wants to talk Chikara, I wanted to start with Synergy because we've had the pleasure. We've become very close friends with Colin these past few months.
Oh yes.
So what it's like being for you working with Synergy and Colin?
Colin's been awesome. I mean, he's an excellent, kind, amazing person. We linked up about maybe, God, I don't even want to know, maybe like 5-6 years ago now, and he was doing a lot of charity shows that he always asked me to be a part of, and I'm from the central New Jersey area. And he always wanted me to be a part of them, and I always loved to. Anytime I could do a charity show, I would love to do it. So I would do that, and then he was talking about this company he wanted to start, and he really made me a big centerpiece of it all. And he said, "I want you to run this with me," and just, you know. So he just pretty much let me do what I wanted, and we just ran from it there. It's been an amazing place. Synergy is like a home for me. It's the second home for me. So it's really fun to throw my creativeness to what he's got planned, and he's very smart when it comes to all that, and it's been wonderful. He's such a good dude. Been great to me and my family and all of us, yeah. And it's not too far from me too, so the travel's not bad, man. I love it. I love the Synergy fans too.
Yeah, and obviously a 2-time Synergy champion as well. So I mean, that must have been special for you as well to carry the company.
Very special. That belt is gorgeous. It's beautiful.
It is.
You know, and yeah, it was amazing that he gave me that much faith to really run and be his champion twice. And it was a fun run, and I'm going to be the third-time champion, I'm sure, in the near future. I'm going to try to get that belt back. It looked nice, man. I used to wear it at home when I would go, you know, even go to the bank. I had that rocked up, ready to go. And yeah, you know, it was cool, man. It was definitely cool, and I'm very thankful for him to give me that opportunity.
I think I'd speak for Callum as well, that if we were a world champion, we'd go everywhere with the belt as well, wouldn't we, Callum?
Of course, you've got to, right?
You have to
carry it with you.
Of course you do. But speaking of, obviously, you want to be the 3-time champion. Jordan Oliver's holding the belt at the moment. We spoke to Charles Mason earlier today as well, who's also got his eyes on the belt.
Yeah.
Could we see you out going through Charles at some point? Because he seems to think he's going to dominate everywhere.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's a great talent and everything like that. But I mean, come on, I got the years on him. I got the experience, and I like kicking people in the face, man. So anytime I can get that opportunity, I'm gonna do it.
That's what I like to hear, man, because I needed to hear that after speaking with Charles, because he scared the crap out of me, I'll be honest.
Yeah, he's a very intense guy, man.
It's nice to know that there's someone who's going to, you know, fight back against him, kick him in the face a bit, because I think he needs it.
Oh, yeah. He needs a couple kicks there to straighten out that face of his, too. Bad.
you were saying earlier, obviously, Synergy is a great place for you to be creative. And one thing I've always found about you is you've always been a creative wrestler. Like, whether it's your in-ring style, the way your attire, your masks, everything about you stood out. And I think was it 2008 you came into Chikara?
Yes, I debuted at 2008. Yep.
Yeah, I think that might be a couple of years just after I started watching, because when I first started watching Chikara, I'd only really watched Ring of Honor on the indies before that. Mm-hmm. So seeing this Chikara was just like mind-blowing. There's all these colorful characters, all these moves I'd never seen before. How much did Chikara help you be a creative wrestler at the start?
I mean, literally so much, man. When I came into the Chikara Wrestle Factory as a student, it was 2015. And I came in at the beginning, I think it was in March of 2015 is my first ever practice ever. You know, I started watching the practice, seeing how it goes, and I was like, and I was pretty athletic at the time. I had a trampoline as a kid. I was always flipping around. And I was like, you know, I got this. I got some of this stuff. And I was like, I saw people running the ropes, and I was like, all right, that'll be the easiest thing. I get in there, I run the ropes. My back swelled up so goddamn much, bro. I'm 15 years old at the time. And I couldn't debut in Pennsylvania, which Chikara was basically located at, until I was 18. So Frightmare had to come in, turning 18. And I was so blessed to have the people that I came in with while I was at the factory at the time. I mean, I had my brother Hallowicked. You know, I had Claudio Castagnoli, Chris Hero, Mike Quackenbush. I had Delirious. I had Sarah Del Rey. I had all these amazing established people helping me, and I couldn't have been in a better situation. I had Orange Cassidy helping me. I had Chuck Taylor helping me. All such amazing, brilliant minds in this wrestling world. And I'm so fortunate and so blessed to have that. So that definitely brought out every side that I'm in.
There's no better group to be working with, is there? Everyone you just named is an incredible talent.
A legend.
Yeah, man. And you had some wars with the colony, didn't you? Like you mentioned Orange Cassidy. You had some wars with the colony.
Absolutely, man. I mean, those ants are tough, but I killed a lot of them.
You did.
But yeah, man, I had some wars with them, man, and just a wonderful group of people, amazing talents all around. Everyone that put on that ant mask, and yeah, man, it was it's just good times, man. Brings me back to some good times.
Yeah, one of those guys you did mention, obviously, I have to ask you about is Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro, because he's a guy who everyone still can't understand why he's not being world champion. I mean, from someone who's learned from him, just how good is he and how valuable was it learning from him?
Oh my God, so much, man. It's I actually even asked myself, how am I this lucky to come in with someone like that? And I put in a lot of my own success to a lot of what he's taught me. I mean, he's such an underrated wrestler, and I know he's getting, like, obviously he's popular. Everyone loves him, as they should, because he's probably one of the best I've ever rolled around with. He's just a natural. He was born to do this, and you could tell just by. He made me look so good. Anytime I worked with him, if I was fucking up a move, he would fix it himself in like midair. Like, that's how good this guy is. Like, he's just phenomenal. He made everyone look better than what they were. And when you put a good talent against him, even if you put like the shittiest, greenest guy on him, he had one hell of a match with him. And like, that's the kind of person he is, man. Just incredible.
Is he as strong as everybody says he is?
Oh yeah, man. Especially my ass. I think I was at like 165 when I started, or something around that. In that weight class. I'm only 5'8". He would toss me around, bro. But we'd have some wars, man. We'd have some wars.
I think that was the best part of watching Chikara, is even though you could tell some of the guys were perhaps newer to the business, when they were in the ring with, say, Claudio, everybody looked on the same level because of how experienced Claudio was, if that makes any sense. Like, he just had this innate ability to make everybody look, like they've been wrestling for 20 years.
Yeah, and listen, that's what he did. That's what he did, man. He's that good. He's that good, man. I miss him all the time. We still talk too. You know, we'll be texting. He's always asking how I'm doing, and I love that about him too. You know.
Yeah.
And once he got, you know, to a place of, you know, in the stratosphere of professional wrestling with WWE, he still finds times to come back and, you know, talk to his students and his friends. And a very close friend of mine, I remember I went to, before all this whole pandemic, I visited him at they were taping a Raw or something in Newark, and he found the time to meet me in an elevator shaft just to hang out for a little bit. And
oh, that's awesome.
Fans try to come up to us. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here! I'm hanging out with my boy." I can't do his Swiss accent, but he's just an incredible person, man. Incredible person. And that was the cool thing about Chikara. Like, you know, you could put a guy that's 6'5", 6'6" against like a guy like me, and we could still mesh, and we can have some great battles, great together.
I mean, you were no stranger to championships in Chikara anyway. You won the Young Lions Cup, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were one of the longest reigning champions too.
Yes.
I don't think there was anyone who held it longer. I might be wrong. I just remember you having a really long reign with that championship.
I think there might have been someone that maybe had. I have the most defenses of it.
Yeah.
Maybe someone held it on a little bit longer than I did. But they started doing it where like it surpassed the other year, and then the Young Lions Cup dates would change a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I never lost that thing. I still got it somewhere. Actually, I gave it to my grandma. Was such a big supporter of what I was doing at the time, so it's hung up at her house.
That's awesome. That's really sweet.
So she's got the stride, you know, the whole swine of it. She's got the whole thing. So.
Well, another guy as well. Obviously, when I was doing my research, the guys that you've faced is a who's who. But obviously, one of the guys that you've been in the ring with and feuded with, sadly, we lost Brody Lee. What was it like working with Brody? Because from everybody you speak to, Callum had the pleasure of meeting him. You never heard a bad thing about the guy. What was it like working with Brody?
First of all, rest his soul, man. He's such a wonderful human being, and you know, I pray for him and his family all the time. His son's killing it right now. You know, he's gonna follow in his footsteps, future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Brody Lee was truly an amazing person, man. Very, very similar to Claudio, where he just made other people look as good, even if they weren't on his level. Funny story, my first ever Chikara match was against Brody. And it all happened where it was supposed to be Hallowicked versus Brody that night in Easton, PA. We used to travel out of there. And something happened with Hallowicked earlier. He had a segment where I guess he got hit in the head. So he came back a little loopy, right? And everyone was like, hey, we gotta check on Wicked over there. He's, you know. And all of a sudden, we're like, maybe we shouldn't do this match. And I was supposed to be out there with him during a segment, and they're like, all right, Frightmare, you're up. And I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, and then right after that, me and Brody, we feuded the whole next year with the Roughnecks, and that was when he was with Grizzly Redwood and Kingston. And oh man, I was so fortunate, and I've had a lot of singles matches with him, a lot of multi-man matches with him, and God, I'm gonna miss him, man, because he's such a wonderful human being, and he taught me so much too, man. And he likes to kick. Oh boy.
One of the smoothest big men ever. Like I never saw Brody mess up anything. Like he had one of the best big boots you'll ever see. The truck stop looked devastating. You know, everything he did was so good.
So good, man. So good. I definitely gonna miss that guy, but he was phenomenal, and I was very, very blessed and very fortunate enough to work a lot with him before he signed to the WWE. He was always with Chikara with us, and we even had a match in Evolve too. One of the I believe it's the first Evolve show ever. I want to say it was like Gran Akuma, Brody, and maybe Icarus. I want to say versus me, Hallowicked, and Quack. I think.
Well, going like Chikara, you mentioned, you know, you've got a long history in Chikara. You know, you did a lot of work with Hallowicked and Ultramantis Black.
Yes.
I think that was one of the greatest units in Chikara history. What was it like working with those guys, and what did you learn from them?
Oh God. Well, having Hallowicked as my brother, and man, I can't say. I mean, I think Hallowicked is one of the most underrated wrestlers on the planet.
Yep.
In my opinion, and he's just so damn good, man. And having him as my partner, I couldn't have been brought up in a better situation, man. Like, literally, a lot of my success is solely based on him, man. Just helping me along the way and having that kind of person, and just how awesome he is. And as a person, too, he's one of the nicest human beings in the world.
Yeah.
And having Ultra Mantis Black is basically having Undertaker on your team. He just gets the big pop in the room no matter what. And he's also just phenomenal wrestler, and the Spectra Envoy, man. I miss our group, but still with those guys all today. We still talk to Mantis all the time, but yeah, I learned so much from him because of all the matches we've had, and winning King of Trios that year and back in 2012. Just cool, man. And I appreciate the kind words that you said about the fraction of that. Yeah, so just.
The King of Trios, right there, you're no stranger to the King of Trios. That's one of the, it was one of the greatest tag tournaments you could be part of. Look at how it started. And over the years, the names that were coming through the King of Trios was just a who's who of wrestling. You had so much talent in that tournament. Do you have a favorite standout moment from the King of Trios?
Oh God, so many good ones, man. That's Chikara's WrestleMania's King of Trios,
right?
First and foremost, right? So, let's see, man. There's a lot of good ones, but I mean, I guess one of the greatest moments is winning the damn thing against the Bucks.
Sure.
And that was really cool because I actually was. So right before that, so that was 2012. I tore my ACL, doing a dive. My knee gave out. Terrible timing, too, because I was just taken off and everything like that. And I was really in a good spot with wrestling. And I had to go through that shitty rehab, which, for anyone that's dealt with that injury, it's a tough one to go through. And I remember the doctor telling me, like, oh, you'll be back to normal, probably full 100% in 8 months. And I got back in 6. So I was ahead of schedule. I was very serious. I took every routine very serious to get myself back and ready to go because I just missed wrestling so much. And I didn't want to be without it. And by the time I got back, there was 4 months before King of Trios in 2012. And I knew it was a big moment for me because I accomplished a lot to make my comeback, and to make my comeback and win against the Bucks and Bennett, such a wonderful team at the time, was just a really great moment. We had the biggest audience ever that year. It's just a cool moment, man. So I'm going to have to say that, but there's so many in King of Trios history that it's just fun. Even the ones that we lost, just good times, man. I mean,
it was a fun tournament, wasn't it? Start to finish.
My first ever King of Trios was me, Hallowicked Delirious versus Quack, Johnny Saint, and Jorge Skaida Rivera. Like, that was my first ever King of Trios.
What a surreal match.
Right?
You got to wrestle Johnny Saint.
I got to wrestle Johnny Saint, man. And and I'm only 3 months in at this point since my debut. And I get to wrestle Johnny fucking Saint.
One of the greatest technicians of all time.
we didn't call anything. I would just run up to him and he would put me in this fucking pretzel move, bro. He's that good. I just let him do his thing. I just let him do his thing. You roll around. I'm like in this crazy submission. It's insane, man. That's another moment for sure right there.
It must have been in his early 60s then as well, wasn't he? Late 50s, early 60s?
I think he was older, man.
Yeah.
How old is Johnny Saint right now?
I think he's early 70s. He must be. Let's have a look. Let's do some on-the-spot research.
Google that, because I want to say he was 70 at the time. Maybe late 50s? We'll find out.
Oh, no, you're right. He's 79 now. So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. How long ago was that? Right, that was in... Shit, that was 2009 King of Trios. So, yeah. Damn, look at that.
Jeez.
68?
Wow.
That's blown my mind.
And Dan, what was move, bro?
Yeah. I was going to say, what was it like being in the ring with Johnny Saint then? But I mean, wow, 68-year-old Johnny Saint.
8-year-old Johnny Saint was awesome.
Crazy. Obviously, that's a British legend, but you also got to wrestle in Japan. What was that experience like for you, obviously taking your style over to Japan?
That was awesome, man, because the group that we ran with was Osaka Pro, and they were phenomenal people. They put us in their dojo for the 2 weeks that we were there. And, oh, man, my favorite, I got to wrestle Billy Kid and when I was over there, and definitely a favorite match. Then they had most of us work with just Chikara guys and show off our lucha, Japanese kind of style wrestling. But I got a one-on-one with Billy the Kid, and that was awesome. Just to talk with him and mesh him. But Japan's amazing. It's the mecca of like wrestling. That in the UK, man. I mean, I love being in the UK. Is like my favorite place to wrestle. But
are we going to see you come back as soon as the world opens up?
I was going every year until this shit started, falling apart. But once it gets back, man, I absolutely love you guys out there, and it's one of the most entertaining and fun crowds to wrestle in front of.
Do you have a favorite city to wrestle in the UK, or just a favorite place in the UK to visit, perhaps?
Ooh, I love them all, man. Every place I went to was awesome, but Wolverhampton always has a special.
Oh yeah.
Because I was there with Fight Club a lot, and
Fight Club, great atmosphere at Fight Club, yeah.
Oh, incredible, man. Some of their chants they make up, bro, unreal. And the coolest people ever.
We've spoken to a few people, and they've all said the same thing. The British crowd, they can't wait to come back for the British crowd. I mean, what is it about the British crowd that's different to the American crowd?
Like I said, like American crowds are fun, but there's something about the British crowds that you can tell they waited all week to come out, have some fucking pints, get drunk, and watch some amazing wrestling and have fun and scream at the top of their lungs. So you'll have sometimes in America, like they're fun, they can get behind it, but some of the chants, some of the soccer chants they make up with our names mixed into them are just brilliant, man. You get a different kind of energy out there for sure.
That's what makes wrestling so cool, though. Like the fan bases wherever you are in the world are different, which makes it so exciting. Like for us, when we come over to America for wrestling, we went to All In Chicago.
Oh, awesome.
Dude, that atmosphere was unlike anything we've ever been part of. That Chicago crowd was the best crowd we've ever been part of.
Great wrestling city.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to come back to Chicago. Absolutely love that place. And I just want to go to some wrestling in America. But that's what's so cool. Like, you're in America, you want to come over and experience the UK crowds. We want to come and experience the US crowds. That's what makes wrestling so magical.
Yeah. It's amazing everywhere. And it's just like, like you guys, like you like to kind of be out here. We love being out there. And it's a beautiful thing. When you go to any different country, and it's so different the way that they appreciate and they take in the wrestling, but it's so gratifying because everything's beautiful about that. I love that aspect about wrestling. Even there's times where you're having a bad day, you're in a lot of pain, before a show because you're nursing some other fucking injury you had, and you get out there and you feel that energy. Yeah. It makes you go through, you don't even feel that fucking your ankles hurt, you got a sprained ankle, you don't feel it because you're working off that energy. And that's what's so amazing to have awesome fans, because you could just get through it. You could just get through it and go be like, oh, I'm not in pain anymore. This is what I'm supposed to do, bro. This is my shit, So,
yeah, I always say, like, I've been to a couple of WrestleMania weekends, and no matter which city it's in, there might be 100,000 wrestling fans, and they all come from different walks of life. But you know that every single one of those fans, you've got something in common with, and that's your love of wrestling. And you feel like there's a family spirit there. And even with the wrestlers, like you're meeting at like WrestleCon and stuff like that, there's just this atmosphere of everyone's there to appreciate wrestling, and it's amazing.
It's awesome because we shared the same thing. Every wrestler is a wrestling fan, so we experienced the same thing, and we just went to another level to try to accomplish that. And meeting fans and all that. I mean, dude, I've met, very fortunate, man, very fortunate and blessed to have interacted with some of, all of these fans that I've met all over the world. People with tattoos of my mask, some of the craziest shit in the world, man. And it's such a beautiful thing. If you ever second guess yourself, because there's a lot of second guessing in this business where you're like, oh shit, am I gonna have to do this? This booking's not a lot of money. Let me do this, and then all of a sudden you're like, I love this more than anything. This is what I was put on this earth to do. None of this matters, and I'm making so many other people happy, including myself. Hell yeah, man. There's not more of a gratifying feeling than that.
Dude, it's so true. You are making people happy. You've made my day just doing this interview. Like this is cool as fuck. If you'd have told me when I was watching Chikara when I was younger, one day you'd be having an interview with Frightmare, I'd have been like, how? What are you on about? That's crazy. So it means a lot to me, even as a fan, to even speak to you on this interview.
Well, that means the world to me, man. And honestly, I'm having a blast, and I'm so glad you guys reached out to do this, man. I'll do this every fucking week with you guys.
Dude, we would do that every week. We really would.
I'll make it happen. We'll work out a time. We could do this all the time.
I love you, man. I'm a massive fan. But like I told you before we started recording, when I told Callum you were coming on, it was like a kid waiting for Santa Claus. Face little. So you mean a lot to us, man. Believe me, you really do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
What I did want to ask you as well, obviously, we've had the pandemic. A lot of indie companies have almost, you can say, thrived. It was like Synergy. You've got freelance, black label, places like that. How do you think the indies have done so far with the pandemic?
Well, you know what it is, man? A lot of independent companies, they're all fighters. So during the most difficult of times, they're going to make it work. And we want to put on a product for the fans and for us in general, just to keep doing something that we love. So none of this little pussy virus is going to stop us from, performing. And we need our fix, man. We're addicted to wrestling. We need it. So, I mean, yes, it hurts where it's not as normally ran, like where you're doing shows every single weekend. But there's companies out there that are trying to make it work, and they're doing a wonderful job. I know was it GCW during the summertime? They were running in like Atlantic City every other 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they had a nice outdoor venue and people right on the fucking boardwalk. It's beautiful. And everyone's having a great time. Synergy, Colin's been doing a great job with keeping all of us happy, and we just got to keep rocking and rolling, man. And we just pray that, I'm hoping a year from now, everything is normal and either this virus dies or there is a real thing where we could just treat this thing so we can really get back to what we were doing right before all this. It's definitely taken a big halt in wrestling, but everyone's doing well. AEW is putting on a phenomenal product when they only have a certain amount of fans into their venue. WWE with the little Thunderdome shit that they're doing. It's cool, man. And it just shows how much we really want to keep going no matter what.
That's so true. And I as much as it sucks at the moment to not have wrestling as we love it, I do think this is going to be one of the most memorable periods in wrestling history where we look back and we say, look how wrestling, like, for one, survived, and two, look how it adapted. And I think there's going to be parts of it which stay afterwards. And
it's going to make us all tougher in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So
go ahead.
With the pandemic as well, I have to ask you, like obviously wrestling with Synergy and stuff, how have you found it wrestling without a crowd? I mean, do you have to look at a match differently, or is it just the same to you?
It's the same to me. I'll never go into a match. I remember I did a couple random companies that are just getting off their feet where there's fucking 10 people in the crowd. I'm still going to do a dive if I see it fit in this match. I'm not going to hold back. Yes, you love that energy from a lot of hundreds and hundreds of people, and you feed off that energy, but you could still feed off a crowd with 10 people because you can – actually, it's kind of fun because you can literally interact with every character, every person in the audience. I can see this one kid. I can bullshit and talk shit to him and then go to his father and talk shit to him, and you can really hear everything too. You can like – You put on like your own personal show which is equally cool. It's so different, but I find a lot of fun in that. But I'll never change the style that I wrestle because I'm out there to tell a good story and to have some fun and entertainment. And even if it's 10 people paying for it, that's 10 people paying to see Frightmare in the way. So I'll never hold back on that, you know. Maybe I won't take a DDT on the floor, but I'll I'll give everything I can to put on one hell of a show for all these people, no matter what.
I love that spirit. That's good. Keep that up, man.
Oh, yeah, always, man. Always.
Another guy, obviously, before we wrap things up as well, there's a couple of guys I wanted to ask you about. We mentioned Brody Lee earlier, and you also worked with Eddie Kingston. What's it like working with Eddie? Because Eddie's one of those guys who you just believe everything he does and says.
So I actually got a crazy story I never told anybody. So I'll tell you guys. I was going to Chikara and CZW back in 2014 as a fan and slowly getting into the business right before I started training. And I was always such a huge blackout from CZW with Eddie Kingston, Ruckus, Sabian, Joker, all them. Such a huge fan of them, but I always loved Kingston. He, you know, obviously his mic skills, even at that time, were crazy beyond amazing, right? So I had a friend at the time that was in the Chikara Wrestle Factory. He ended up doing something else later in life. He didn't really go through the whole school process, but I'm very fortunate enough for him because that's how I found out about Chikara. So he knew everyone up there. And I had an incident coming home from a show when I was 14 where we were in, it was like a road rage situation. This guy pulled over, a couple guys jumped the car. We ended up getting in a fight with these guys, and a guy hit me from behind with like a little pipe thing.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate enough to even still be here this day because I had to go to the hospital, and I had a little head. You guys still see me?
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a little head injury where I had to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Thank the Lord, thank God, I made it through all that. And at the time, and this is right before I wanted to start wrestling, like 2 months before I wanted to start training. So I had to put that on hold for an extra 6 months because of the trauma that I went through. I had to make sure everything was good, everything was cleared. But during that time, my friend knew I was such an Eddie Kingston fan that Eddie actually visited me in the hospital.
Wow.
So, I mean, it holds a special place in my heart. And, you know, me and him are always, you know, we're still close to this day. And I just remember that as a 14-year-old kid that Eddie Kingston came to visit me in the hospital when times were tough.
And I'm sure that helped too. Like it shows what he's like as a person.
Yes, yeah. It gave me so much more fight to come back. After those 6 months were good, everything was cleared. Thank God, everything was perfect. I was able to, you know, roll around and take bumps and all that kind of shit. And then the rest of the story wrote itself, man.
Because he's one of those guys, when you watch AEW now, he might be an absolute piece of shit. Like, he does some disgusting stuff, right? But he's one of those heels where when he doesn't win, like, you kind of feel bad for him. He's got this innate ability to still make you feel sorry for him. Like, he does all these things, but then he loses, and you're like, because he says he's doing it for his mother, and that's in the back of my head, and I just know he's going to be the biggest face in the company when they pull the trigger on it. He's going to be a huge baby face.
100, dude. And you know, all those stories too, people may think like, oh yeah, it's an act. No, it's not. I know him. I know his family. I know them very personally. I used to, as a student, I was driving Kingston back to Yonkers after shows. You know, like, yeah, just an incredible person, man. And yeah, he just kills it on every level in that. Every level.
I was texting with a friend the other day, and we was actually doing a bit of fantasy booking, and I said, could you imagine if you could have had Eddie Kingston versus Jake Roberts in his prime? I mean...
Oh, yeah. Whew, that'd be awesome.
Oh, my God. But before we wrap up, obviously, Frightmare, there is one more person that I know you've been in the ring with, and it's someone that we've never actually got to speak about with people. You was in the ring, correct me if I'm wrong, with Tito Santana.
Oh, yeah, with King of Trios.
Yeah.
Not King of Trios. That was cool, man. I didn't get to work with him like that. Like, I think just one little spot or two. Oh, yeah. But such a great, nice guy, man. It was cool, man. Just, that's the beauty about wrestling, man. And something that is just, never know who you're gonna get in the ring with, and when you come across someone that talented and that awesome and has such an impact in the wrestling world, it really takes it back. You're like, holy shit, Tito Santana, like,
yeah,
you know.
You never hear anything bad about him as well, do you? He seems to be one of those nice guys.
Absolutely, I've met so many nice guys, man. I don't really have any ill will. Like, if there was someone that was just like maybe a dick in the locker room, I never really I haven't come across any.
No.
Yeah, I'm a pretty cool, keeled over dude where it's like, I just like to have fun. And once we're out there, let's put on the best match we can. But I never met anyone that like thought they were better than me. Even some of the old vets and the old heads that are like, everyone's just super nice, man. And I guess that was the environment that we put in that locker room, even at Chikara or even some of the other companies that I worked for, that I got to meet some of these amazing people like X-Pac. I got to wrestle him as 1-2-3 Kid. Like, that shit was awesome. That's something that I thought I would never be able to get the chance to do. And
isn't he as well? He's so talented.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is incredible, man. Incredible. Some of the very, like I said, very blessed, man. Very blessed to have those opportunities for sure.
Before we wrap up, one thing that's just come to my mind is one thing I really miss about Chikara is the Chikara podcast a go-go.
Yeah.
That was way ahead of its time, and
very much.
That was like being the elite, but like 11 years ago. That was such a good show, and I'm sure like you'd have been on the podcast a go-go at some point, right? Even if it was a match highlight, I'm sure you'd have been on there at some point.
Yeah. I was definitely on a few of them with match highlights. Like, there was definitely a few of them on there, but I definitely would have been a guest and all that stuff if that would have kept going. And
because it was Wiggly and Joe Negron.
Such a way ahead of its time, like you said.
Yeah, Chikara always had such good production values, even in the early days. And I think it was it Wiggly who used to do the posters and the video editing.
He used to sing a song too.
Yeah, man.
Between
he did all
Noxious, like, they were awesome together. Quackenbush has a wonderful mind with the wrestling world. Like, he can write one hell of storylines, and he's basically a comic book nerd. So it's like,
you can tell,
tell that with just watching kind of cover from a Chikara DVD. It's just like, but all those storylines, he wrote because this is what he grew up loving, and I'm very thankful for all that. He's and like even himself, like, he helped me out so much to get my career started, and all those good times.
I'll be completely honest. I spoke to Quackenbush last year, and he was just one of the most articulate, smart people I've spoken to, who you can just tell understands the business.
Yes.
And it reflected in the product. But yeah, I mean, it just came to my head then. I was like, Chikara podcast a go-go. I missed that. I really do miss it.
That too. I miss it all, man. I definitely miss it all.
Yeah.
But
there's still the future to look forward to, man. And you're in Synergy now. You're still tearing up the independents and stuff. I'm hoping you're still only young. You're actually younger than us, and I don't know why in my head I always think like, because I know Ultramantis Black's a bit older. I thought, I didn't realize how young you were. I still think you've got. I want to see you next year or this year in AEW. That's my personal.
Hey,
I want to see that as a fan.
That's my goal. That's what I'm gonna work so hard this year. I want to be hanging out with my friends again, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's what I want to do. So,
sky's the limit, man. But dude, before we wrap up as well, because as soon as we start recording, the smile on Callum's face is going to last all night long.
I'm so happy that I can provide that smile.
Honestly. But please tell everybody where they can find you, your social media, any merch.
You got Frightmare Lucha on Instagram, just the Frightmare on Twitter. I'm setting up something now. It's not done yet, but I'm trying to make a whole Luchadorable website.
That's a great name.
I came up with the Luchadorable thing around 2010. I got a little teddy bear with my mask on. I don't know if you ever seen that design. I'll send you guys some of the links after this. But I'm setting up a whole website now. I actually talking to this website designer. So once that's all started, Luchadorable is going to be where you can get your Frightmare merch, fun stuff, little teddy bears with my mask. Cool shit. Coming
great
soon.
Name.
Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, please come back. Like you said, we'll get you back as soon as you want to come back.
Anytime, guys. Just you hit me up, and I would love to. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, and I'm so thankful to have you guys in my life too, and be able to talk wrestling. I love doing this stuff. It's my absolute passion. So anytime I get to do that and hang out with great guys like you, let's do it, man.
Hell yeah, man. We'll certainly drop you a message in a couple of weeks. We'll do it again. But for now, thank you so much, Frightmare. We have been Ringsiders.